Hello friends, good morning. Friends, in the last two lectures, we had discussion on grammar. Today, we will go to our textbook and we will have a poem by Sarojini Naidu. And the title of the poem is Indian Fever. Before going to the poem, we will have something about the poetess. Friends, you might have heard the name of the poetess. Sarojini Naidu was a political activist. She participated in the Indian freedom struggle and she was very active. She was imprisoned and she was also the first governor of the United Province in India. So she was a great writer, she was a poetess, and a very influencing personality in the Indian freedom movement. And now this poem is written by her. Indian Weaver. So, what do you understand by the word weaver? Weaver means a person who weaves. To weave is a verb. Friends, we know that. We know dancer, we know singer, we know driver. Who is a singer? One who sings. Who is a driver? One who drives. In the same way, who is a weaver? One who weaves. To weave, we weave a cloth. Okay, so it is about Indian weaver. And in this poem, or we can say, through the poem, the poet is shows three phases in human's life, three pages, or we can say three states in our lives, or three incidents in our lives. And the poem is very short. So, in the poem, various figures of speech are used. For example, simile is there, metaphor is there, we can have alliteration, we may have the rhyming scheme, imagery is also used there. And with the help of the poem, we are also going to learn these figures of speech. Okay, and so our main focus will be on the figures of speech. And for that, in the beginning, we will have the reading of the poem, we will explain the lines. There are three stanzas. We will have the explanation and then we will have discussion on the figures of speech. So, at first, I will read the poem. If uh, you have the textbook with you, then it will be better to open the book at page number 99 and then there you will find the poem and it is a very short poem. There are only two lines, there are only three stanzas, and every stanza expresses or describes a phase in human's life. So, Indian weaver. And The very first stanza begins with a question. Weavers weaving at a break of day, why do you weave a garment so gay? Blue as the wing of a halcyon white, we weave the robes of a newborn child. In this way, the first stanza consists of four lines, and the stanza ends here. Now we will have the second stanza. Weavers weaving at fall of night, why do you weave a garment so bright? Like the plumes of a peacock, purple and green, we weave the marriage bells of a queen. Now we will have the last stanza. Weavers weaving Solomon's steel, why do you weave in the morning seal? White as a feather and white as a cloud, we weave a dead man's funeral shroud. And in this way the poem ends here. And friends, you will notice that here the mention of various colors is there, and these colors are symbols of something. They symbolize something. They stand for something. Okay, and with the help of the colors and their symbolization, the poetess describes very vividly the various stages of our lives. So, what is the first stage in our life? And we know that childhood. Childhood is the first stage. Okay, and when a person is in this stage, then this stage is very lively. This stage is very enthusiastic. There is some kind of enthusiasm. There is some kind of cheerfulness. There is some kind of freshness. Okay, there is some kind of powerfulness. So these are the specialities of the stage, that is childhood. When the child is there, there is some kind of enthusiasm. Okay, so weavers weaving at a break of day. Break of day. What does a break of day mean? Break of day means the beginning of the day. Break of day means the sunrise. Okay, we know that we have the sunrise, then we have the noon, and then we have the afternoon, and then we have the sunset. So the sunrise symbolizes the beginning of the day, while the sunset symbolizes the end of the day. Okay. In the same way, here the weavers are weaving. And what is the time? It is the morning. It is the morning. And then they are asked a question. And what is the question? Why do you weave a garment so gay? What is the question? Why do you weave a garment so gay? Okay, this is the question. So they are, where do they doing? They are weaving a garment. Garment means a dress, we can say. Okay. And how is the garment? Gay. Gay means beautiful. So they are, the weavers are weaving the garment, or we can say the weavers are weaving a very beautiful garment. Then the speaker or the narrator or the poet is ask a question. And what is the question? Why are they weaving a garment? And for whom? For whom? And how is the garment? Blue as the wing of a halcyon wild. So, halcyon is the name of a bird. And here it is the explanation given. Kingfisher, a bird which has bright, colorful plumes. Plumes means feathers. Plumes means feathers. So, the garment is blue, and the blueness is described. It is compared with the wing of Halcyon, with the wing of kingfishers. And the answer is we weave the robes of a newborn child. Newborn child. Newborn means born few moments before. Okay? Or just born child. So, friends, here in this particular line, in this particular line, we will find a figure of speech. We will find a figure of speech. So, friends, what is the meaning of a figure of speech? At first, we must know something about a figure of speech. Friend, we use a language for communication. Okay, so there is some kind of commonness. When we use language commonly, there is some kind of commonness. But sometimes we use language specially. Specially means in a new way, in an innovative way, in a innovative way. And when language is used specially, when a language is used in innovative way, uncommon way, then we can say that there is use of figurative language. Figurative language means there are figures of speech, there are ornaments. Friends, we use ornaments. For example, we have chain, we have rings, okay? We have various kinds of bracelets and all that. So why do we use them? To beautify ourselves, okay? To make us more and more beautiful. In the same way, when some ornaments are used, and we know that these ornaments are made of words. They are made of words. Our ornaments are golden ornaments or silver ornaments, but these ornaments are words. Ornaments means figures of speech. Alankar, alankar, bhashalankar. And friends, when figures of speech are used, they have their purposes. They have their motives. Okay, and what is the purpose? The purpose is to beautify the language, number one, and the number two, to make the communication effective. Because we know that for communication we use language, and with the help of the figures of speech, the communication becomes more effective. Okay, and so when I have said earlier that when the language is used uncommonly, when the language is used innovatively or in a special way, then what is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is when there is a rhyming scheme, there is a rhetorical question, there is a metaphor, there is a simile, there is use of alliteration, personification, onomatopoeia, synecdoche, okay, apostrophe. So these are the figures of speech of language. Okay, and here the poem is also full of figures of speech. For example, in this particular line, simile is used. What is used? Simile. And simile is also one of the figures of speech. So, what do you understand by the term simile? What do you understand? Simile is a comparison between two different things. And when do we compare? When do we compare? We compare when there is something common. When we say that the person is brave like a tiger, here the person is compared with a tiger. Actually, the two things are different. Person is different from the tiger. Okay? But as far as their braveness is concerned, there is similarity, there is commonness. And in respect of their braveness, there is similarity, and so they are compared. Okay? In the same way, the wing of Harrison wine and the garment, they are two different objects. But as far as their color is concerned, there is similarity. And in that sense, the garment is like the wing of Harrison. Okay? It is like a wing of kingfisher because the wing of kingfisher is blue, it is bright, it is colorful. In the same way, the garment is bright, it is blue, it is colorful. Okay, so friends, here the use of simile is made by the poets very effectively. Okay, and in this way, the communication is also becomes effective. For this effectiveness, this use of bigger speech is used. So, friends, in this way, in the very first stanza, we have the use of figure of speech. Then we will have the second stanza. We were weaving at fall of night. Why do you weave a garment so bright? Like the plumes of a peacock, purple and green, we weave the marriage veils of a queen. Once again, the question is asked, and what is the question? Why do you weave a garment so bright? And now the time is at fall of night. It is a fall of night. And we know that in the very first stanza, the time is break of day. It is morning. And now a fall of night. Night is going to fall. It is before we can say fall of night. And the question is why they are weaving a garment, and the answer and the garment is also described. How is the garment? Like the plumes. Plumes means feather. Plumes means feather. Feathers means पिसे. पक्ष्यांची पीस असतात ना पिसे. And feathers of peacock, and they are purple and green. So once again, the use of simile is made, and we know that child is the first phase, and now the garment is made for the marriage of a queen. Marriage of a queen. So when we have the adulthood, then we marry. So this is also second phase of our life. There is some kind of maturity. Okay, so it is the also decisive phase. It is also a decisive state, or it is also a decisive incident in our life, and for that purposes the garments are woven by the weavers, and the garments are very bright. Okay, so they are like plumes of peacock, they are like feathers of peacock, and so this is the second stage. So here the time, mention of time, fall of night and the break of day. So these are the indicative of the stages in our life. They symbolize the stages in our life, and the second stanza begins with we were weaving at fall of night. We were weaving at fall of night. In the line also, or in the very first stanza, we were weaving at break of day. We were weaving. Here, the repetition of sound "w" is made. We were weaving at fall of night. So here we were weaving. What is repeated? The sound "w" is repeated. But for time being, you may say that the letter W is repeated. Actually, the letter W represents the sound W. Okay? And when consonantal sound is repeated in the beginning of a successive words, then we say that it is an example of alliteration. Alliteration. What is an alliteration? Alliteration is the repetition of consonantal sounds. Consonantal sound in the beginning of successive words. Successive words means words coming after one another, or adjacent words, neighboring words. Because the repetition must be noticeable. We must be able to notice it. Okay? So uh, here repetition is made, and in this way the use of alliteration is made. Alliteration is also one of the figures of speech. Okay, and in this way alliteration contributes to make the poem beautiful. Alliteration contributes to make the communication effective, because these are the two functions of figures of speech. Function number one, to make the literary piece, that is poem or what may be, beautiful, and to make the communication effective. So in this way, the use of alliteration is made in every first line of the every stanzas. Okay, stanza number one, two, three. You will find that weavers weaving. Okay, or garment sogging is also an example of an alliteration. An alliteration. Then once again we have the examples of alliteration, simile, okay, and the question is why are they weaving the garment, and the answer is the garments are being woven for the marriage veils of a queen. Marriage veils means uh, in Marathi we can say parda. Weavers weaving solemn and steel, what do you weave in the moonlight chill? Now we have the next stage, next phase, or next we can say state of the life. Moonlight chill. When is moonlight? When is moonlight? When the night falls, then we have moon, and then we have moonlight. Moonlight chill, white as a feather and white as a cloud. We weave a dead man's funeral shroud. So, friends, when the weaver was weaving the garment for a newborn child, so it indicated that the weaver was very enthusiastic. She was very fresh. She was she was very energetic. Okay, and she had some kind of hope in before his eyes when she was weaving the marriage veil of a queen. There also his life was energetic, his life was enthusiastic. He had some kind of power in him. Okay. But when she was weaving a funeral shroud, so funeral shroud, you might have seen a dead body, and the dead body is covered with a cloth. Okay, and that cloth is called funeral shroud. That cloth is called funeral shroud. So what is the meaning of funeral shroud? It means the cloth with which the dead body is covered. Okay, and now the weavers are weaving the funeral shroud, and it is what is the time? It is moonlight chill. Chill means cold moonlight. There is some kind of coldness. Okay, coldness means there is some kind of lack of feelings, lack of emotions. Okay, there is lack of emotions, and it means that there is no hope before the eyes of the viewers. Their life is hopeless. Their life is hopeless because they are at the end of their lives. They are at the end of their lives, and so the shroud is compared with a white cloud. White cloud. And how is white cloud? We know that a white cloud is not able to have rain. It is fruitless. Okay. So in this way, the poem gives us three phases in human life. The first phase, childhood. The second phase, adulthood, and the third phase, the death. Okay, And these three pages, three incidents we can say are given here. Here, various colors are used, and when the colors are used, or when the poet says, "We use the marriage veils of a queen," or when we use the robes of a newborn child, okay, or where when the mention of Halcyon is made, then we have some kind of mental pictures in our mind. We are able to see the things mentally. We can visualize them, okay? We can see them with the help of our imagination. So, when these things happen, these things when we are able to visualize because of this vivid description of the lines, then we can say that the use of imagery is there. Imagery means images are there. The lines are able to create images in our mind. The lines are able to create some kind of images. Images means mental picture. Images means mental picture. Whenever something is mentioned and the thing is not before you, but you are able to imagine the thing, you are able to visualize the things, or you are able to see the things mentally, then it is possible because some kind of images are in your mind. So in this way, here the poet uses imagery. So imagery also figure of speech. So friends, imagery is there, uh, simile is there, alliteration is there, metaphor is also there. So metaphor is also comparison, and simile is also comparison. Then what is the difference? The difference is that as far as the simile is concerned, the things are compared directly, explicitly. Okay, and in case of metaphor, things are compared implicitly, indirectly. Okay, so friends, we know that a simile can be contracted into a metaphor, and a metaphor can be expanded into a simile. In other words, simile can be transformed into a metaphor and vice versa. Okay. As far as the rhyming scheme is concerned, you will find that the very first line ends with day and second lines with gay. So first line rhymes with the second line, and the third line rhymes with the fourth line. Same is true in the second stanza. The first line of the second stanza rhymes with the second line, and the third line rhymes with the fourth line. And as far as the third stanza is concerned, the same pattern is followed. And so, what is the pattern of the rhyming scheme? Uh, Day, gay, white, child. So these are the ending words of the lines from the first stanza. So day, e. How is rhyming scheme is made? So for the first word, we must indicate a. Then here is some kind of similarity, so it is also a. It is different, it is b. 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 A, B, B. So this is the rhyming scheme. So rhyming scheme also uh, rhyming scheme also comes under the figure of speech. It is also responsible for uh, increasing the effectiveness and beauty of the language. So in this way, friends, the poem is very short poem. So uh, we learned that what is a figure of speech, what are the purposes of figure of speech. There are two purposes. Number one, to beautify the language and to make the communication effective. Then we have simile, we have metaphor, we have imagery, we have alliteration, and we have rhyming scheme. And we also learned something about the poetess. So she was very famous personality, and she made her contribution in Indian freedom struggle, and she was the disciple of Mahatma Gandhi, and she sacrificed her life for the country. So, friends, uh, here many describing words are here. You can have uh, appreciation of the poem. So there is also something about antonym and synonyms, because if we know the antonyms, if we know the synonyms, then automatically we can enrich our language. So a column is given, and under the column the words are given: new, bright, dead, still, wide, fall, child. Okay, and we are asked to tell the antonyms of the words, and we are also asked to make sentences using the antonyms. So what is meant by antonyms? Do you know antonyms? Antonyms means opposite words. Antonyms means, and synonyms, words having similar meaning. Is it clear? So you must know what is meant by antonym. Antonym means opposite words, and you must know what is meant by synonyms. Synonyms means words having the same meaning. Uh, for example, the word new. New. So we have antonyms of new, old, old, and antonyms are shown by using this mark, and this mark is called cross mark. This mark is called cross mark. And new, nor, this is the synonym, and this equation mark is used to show synonyms. So this is the tradition. This is the tradition. So friends, uh, some bright, we can have antonym dull, dead, we can have antonym alive, still, we can have antonym uh, uh, mobile, wild, we can have domestic as its antonym, fall, rice, child, man. So these are antonyms. And we can make sentences using the antonyms. So you must try to make sentences. You must try to use the language deliberately. You must try to enrich your language because we know that if you acquire the skill of the language, then it will be very beneficial to you. It will be very helpful to you, and you can have some kind of change in your life. So friends, please read the poem time and again. Please try to understand the poem, and various activities are given under the poem. And if you try to attempt the activities, then you will be able to understand the poem deeply, fully, thoroughly. So I tried my level best to explain the poem. And if you have some problems, please share your problem to the group. We will try to answer your problems. So it is time to stop, and so we will have uh, a chance to meet once again. So enjoy your Diwali vacation. Happy Diwali.